Namaste and welcome viewers. You're watching Mirror Prime. It's me, Ashish Parekh. Lots lined up on the broadcast, in fact, but our focus continues to be on Bengaluru. As promised, we'll be discussing about the state of Bengaluru, which is once the thriving heart of India's tech boom. It now faces a crippling crisis. Its infrastructure is crumbling. Lawlessness is on the rise and basic amenities are nowhere to be found. 40% of roads in Bengaluru are in a poor condition. 60% of traffic signals are malfunctioning. This is a data by the Bengaluru Traffic Police. It's not something we've picked out of nowhere. 60% of traffic signals in Bengaluru either are poorly maintained or they don't function. The city, despite being India's second highest taxpayer, struggles with basic infrastructure. People, in fact, are dying due to dangling wires on the road. Crime has escalated. Chain snatchings, robberies are on the rise. In fact, earlier this month, 20 theft incidents were recorded in just 15 days in Bengaluru. Civic apathy is killing people. Open manholes, faulty electrical systems have claimed hundreds of lives. Meanwhile, the city continues to grapple with water shortages, flooding, and also waste mismanagement. While the citizens suffer, over 10,000 crore has been allocated to vanity projects like skydecks and tunnels, while basic needs remain neglected. Amid all this, the city's talent is fleeing. Rent hikes are completely out of control. Luxury towers are being constructed across the city with complete disregard for the impending water crisis. Bengaluru is very fast losing its status as the tech capital of India, and it's time the authorities are held accountable for the disastrous decline. So what went wrong with Bengaluru? What are the reasons and why exactly are we discussing today? Well, we're talking about this today because a CEO from Bengaluru actually tweeted about the difference in infrastructure between Bengaluru and Ahmedabad. Instead of having a constructive feedback, constructive criticism, he was trolled on social media. My colleague caught up with him to understand the reason why he compared Bengaluru and Ahmedabad and why he says a city like Ahmedabad now is much better than Bengaluru. Listen in.
There are a lot of things that are not working in the city, which is irrespective of the population. For example, the number of potholes on all the roads, or a lot of signals not working, or timers not even being visible, has nothing to do with the population. I think we should introspect, we should work closely with the government and try to fix it so that the city becomes more livable. We should question the government or local authorities on things that are not working, like garbage collection being one of that, the potholes, the road conditions, or even how they are maintaining the footpaths. That is something that we should work towards collectively so that the startup capital also becomes a great place to live for everyone.
We all thought DK Shivkumar is a very, very strong minister who can get things done. We went and met him. And when we met him, we told him there are 4 or 5 things that need to be done urgently. One, massively clean up the city. There are debris, muck lying all the place. Clean it up, city will look better. People will start walking on the streets. Second, make sure that the footpaths are set right. It doesn't cost money. And if you do that, people will start walking. Third, finish some incomplete projects. Fourth, make sure all the potholes are filled up. He agreed and he said, yes, he took a photograph and gave us a bouquet and tweeted and all the nice stuff. Then after that, we met him several times. Many people have met him. And, he gave an ultimatum 3 times to all the people in government saying, fill up the potholes. Then he said, all potholes are filled. I mean, it's all bunk up, right? Even Mr. Siddaramaiah went around and he went to the outer ring road. He promised them 100 days, 50 days. Nothing has happened.
All right, so you heard it. That was Mohandas Pai talking about the situation in Bengaluru and, of course, talking about Minister DK Shivkumar, who's, of course, handling Bengaluru right now. Joining us right now, Yuvraj Pokarna is a columnist, Sandeep Anirudhan, the founder of Citizens Agenda for Bengaluru, and Joseph Hoover, who's also an author. Gentlemen, really appreciate you joining us on the broadcast. And a disclaimer before we start the discussion on this, there's going to be a lot of interruptions because we also have callers also calling us right now. And let's start with Sandeep Anirudhan, who's always on the show with us, talking about citizen-centric issues plaguing Bengaluru. Now, Sandeep, you just heard Mohandas Pai there. He says he met DK Shivkumar when the entire issue was brought up, and DK Shivkumar had some priorities listed. Now, when you hear it, does sound like DK Shivkumar or any other leader knows what the problem is. But the real question is, if they already know what the problem is, why aren't they fixing it? It's not like there's no money. Bengaluru is the second highest tax-paying city in India. there's definitely no reason to say that they don't have the money.
I think Mr. D.K. Shukumar might know what the problem is, but certainly not Mr. Mohandas Pai. See, the only reason why Ahmedabad is better than Bengaluru boils down to just two things. They have a planning authority which
Okay,
does plan
Sandeep,
development.
very early in the show, you're already admitting that Ahmedabad is better than Bengaluru. You are a hardcore Bengalurian. I've seen you fight for the cause in the city, and now starting the show, you're clearly admitting it.
Ashish, it's not just Ahmedabad. Any city in India is better than Bengaluru. Our politicians have trashed this city by being lawless. What I mean is, there is a clear law set out in our constitution that a city has to have a planning authority, it has to master plan, and you have to devolve and decentralize governance. Both
Correct.
are happening in Ahmedabad. That is why it's ahead of Bengaluru. They have master plans, they revise them regularly, they consult with the elected councils. Therefore, they know the pulse of the people, they know what the city wants and needs. In Bengaluru, actually, you'll be shocked to know that a High Court ruling in 2016 even called the previous master plan, RMP 2015, which is still being shamelessly used by the government, which expired in 2015, even that was called out as void because it did not follow due process as per 74th Amendment. So we've had lawlessness from 1992, 32 years. Our government has not followed the constitution. Therefore, our city is suffering. It's because we didn't build capacity for planning.
Absolutely. Sandeep, the
Decentralize
problem
city
is
governance.
it's not just limited to lawlessness. There is civic apathy, there's a water crisis, the infrastructure is an absolute mess. And when you just said that Ahmedabad is better than Bengaluru, I saw a little smirk there on Yuvraj Pokarna. Yuvraj, now I'm sure you've been to, I mean, of course, you've been to Bengaluru, and of course, you know very well about Ahmedabad as well. And again, when you look at the two cities, it wasn't always the case. Bengaluru wasn't always what it is today. What went wrong for Bengaluru? In your experience, what is it that cities like Ahmedabad are doing better that Bengaluru isn't doing?
Hi Ashish. First of all, it's good to be with you after a long hiatus. And yes, I have penned down a few reasons. For starters, Bengaluru or Karnataka faces with the politics of South, which is actually this centric around regional satraps. So whenever any party, be it left to center or right to center, comes into power, the first thing they do is to patronize their own cadre. And with regards to Bengaluru, their development, administration, or governance is not at all people centric. In fact, it follows the typical Western model, which is a construct of being very capital centric. So let's say if somebody lives in a posh area, you won't be finding much problems there. If you visit Bangalore airport, I'm sure everybody on the panel must agree it is one of the best maintained airports. But when it comes to you and me, when it boils down to people, when it simmers down to us, so it's not people centric. And Gujarat is notoriously known as the laboratory of Hindutva. And the Hindutva proponents clearly say and propound that we are people centric. So as my
Yuvraj, let's
previous
not go
panelist,
there. Yuvraj, let's not go there, because now again we'll have opposing views now, and again politics will get involved.
so
And if you talk about political parties now, let me take you back in time a little bit. SM Krishna is known as the architect of modern Bengaluru. He was the one who actually brought the tech boom to Bengaluru, and he was from the Congress party. So it's not about a political party. It's basically about the DNA of our corrupt politicians, of our bureaucrats who clearly have known the pulse of the city and the problems. All right, go ahead.
I never named any political party, but the thing is, in Ahmedabad or Gujarat, there is an accountability of the bureaucracy. Just bear with me for a couple of minutes. You name me any IAS, and within a fraction of seconds, I'll give you his name, his number, because it's all in the public domain. And there is a continuity in governance from the past. I mean, 2.5 decades, 25 years. So it is BJP, it is one party system, it is one bureaucracy. So it's all hunky dory over here. And this is the only reason. There is accountability, the governance, and the bureaucracy is completely transparent and streamlined. And not is the case with Bangalore.
All right.
It is
All
this
right. All
party
right. All
this
right.
time,
Yuvraj,
that party another
Yuvraj,
time.
we also have our callers joining in right now. We have two Suresh is joining us, one from Bengaluru and one from Chennai. Let's go across to Suresh from Bengaluru. Yes, Suresh, what's your views?
Yeah, I think, the basic governance that has gone for a toss, whether, it's about roads, it's about electricity, water, everything is it's in shambles. I think something has to be done. I get a feeling that, probably the kind of freebies, the government is spending so much of money on freebies, which could well be spent on infrastructure. Bangalore has grown tremendously, right? But you look at what is happening today. You want to get out of, any place, we don't talk about kilometers, right? We talk about hours. Whichever place you go to, it's, the
Correct.
roads are in such bad condition. I don't know how, something has to be done.
Absolutely. Absolutely, Suresh. Really good point there. The fact that you're talking about roads and traffic, which of course has been a major pain point for people of Bengaluru. Now, Suresh from Chennai. Suresh, go ahead.
Good evening, sir. I heard that of late the crimes has been soaring and roads, and the Bengaluru city is now very advanced. Roads, drainage system should be maintained properly at any cost.
Absolutely. Absolutely,
Okay,
Suresh.
sir.
Totally agree with you. Balasubramaniam from Bengaluru is also joining us. Right, Balasubramaniam, go ahead. What are your views about what's happening in Bangalore? What do you think is going wrong?
Yeah. But as you introduced me, Balasubramaniam, it's nice meeting you. I would like, yeah. Yeah, thanks for having me with you.
Mr.
Yeah, I
Balasubramaniam,
think-
I'll request you to mute your TV.
Yeah, that's muted. I stay in a place called Banaswadi, where the roads are
Okay.
just about. Hello, can you hear me? Hello.
I can hear you, Mr. Balasubramaniam. Go ahead. Quickly make your point.
I stay in a place called Banaswadi, and there is a road that connects a place called Ramurti Nagar. It's got about 6 signals
Correct.
in that area. It's got 6 signals in that area, and it has not been tarred for more than 15 years. The position is so horrible that it takes nearly about 4 to 5 signals before we can cross the road. Adjacent to my house is a ring road, and there you have a service road which is hardly about 40 feet. It's a two-way traffic. Vehicles are parked over there. It's full of furniture shops over there, and it is very, very, very difficult for anybody to maneuver through that road. But I request you through this particular channel
Right.
that Banaswadi Road be given some sort of an importance, because I'm 70 years old and I go to pick my
Absolutely.
grandson.
Absolutely, Mr. Balasubramaniam. Totally understand what you're trying to say here. You're talking about the infrastructure. And Joseph, I was coming to you about this particular point because now, when we talk about Bengaluru, there are terms like tech capital, IT city, Silicon City. But the reality is that 40% of Bengaluru's roads are in poor condition. 60% of Bengaluru's signals are non-functional or poorly functional or not maintained. 20% of Bengaluru's footpaths are walkable. The rest 80% are completely damaged. Joseph, how does a city get the tag of an IT capital or sustain the tag of a Silicon capital if the roads, the footpaths itself are completely damaged?
You're talking about footpaths. Where are the footpaths? I don't see any. If you have to cross a main road, you'll have to struggle.
I think
A
that's where
vehicle
the
will come over
80%
you.
went.
Yeah, it's all pathetic. I mean, I grew up in Bangalore. I'm 64 years old. I've enjoyed the best of Bangalore, and I'm suffering the worst of Bangalore as well. And it has collapsed. And I would not just blame the politicians and the bureaucrats. It's us people. We just react. We are not proactive. We'll have to step on somebody's toes to get things done. We just complain. This is what I've been seeing over a period of time. Nobody wants to step on somebody's toes and say, listen, this has to happen. They sit back. And today we are in such a crisis that everything has fallen apart. We have the worst civic authorities in the world. The BBMP is pathetic, if I would say that. You can't even get a simple job done there. Even if you have to get a simple thing like a e-kate, you'll have to wait for about 6 months. You can imagine the administration happening. And why aren't the works being completed? Because all have got kickbacks. Everybody's kickbacks, collected kickbacks, so they don't want to push their contractor to complete the work. Because he throws back and says, I have to get back my money, so you're not doing, he doesn't do anything about it. So we as a people have failed. I always say I have failed also. Because the way we have seen Bangalore, I mean, I've enjoyed salubrious Bangalore, a garden city Bangalore, to a garbage city Bangalore, to a congested Bangalore. The more wider you make the road, the more traffic is on there. And then if you talk about IT capital, nobody can take away that
Absolutely, Joseph.
credit
A
from
very
Bangalore.
interesting point you made there, that this is an issue that goes beyond party lines. Regardless of whose government it is an issue that continues to haunt the people of Bengaluru. In fact, we also have another caller joining us right now, Ravi Shankar from Bengaluru. Right, go ahead.
I'm calling from this Nagarbavi area, but of course the roads are very bad here. The pedestrians can hardly walk and there is a steep gradient. And in fact, the road is totally fractured. But that apart, I want to talk about, 1 minute on e-Khata. Now, through you, I want to appeal to the authorities that if e-Khata can come for all properties, including unauthorized and illegal and all that, why make it compulsory in the first place? So many registrations are pending in Bangalore on account of this e-Khata. At least, till they rectify the portal.
Absolutely,
and software.
absolutely. Mr. Ravi Shankar, I totally understand e-Khata is a major pain point for people of Bengaluru right now, but unfortunately our focus mainly is about the civic apathy, the infrastructure mess, and also the rising crimes in Bengaluru. We'll of course have a separate show on that as well. But meanwhile, Sandeep, I really want to talk to you about the situation in Bengaluru as far as water is concerned. Now, Bengaluru was once known as the city of lakes. There was abundance of lakes, water bodies across the city. Now the situation is, every time there's summer, you look at people standing in long queues, even people who paid crores and crores of rupees, they wait for tankers to arrive with buckets in their hands. And when it comes to monsoon, the same people actually walk. They're not able to take their car out because the entire streets are flooded. It's tragic.
Ashish, the problem with Guru is it's broken at every level. If you're talking of planning, it's broken. If you're talking of administration, it's broken. Everything everybody said is true, actually, on the show. So why is it reached that state? Because we don't have capacity to plan. We don't have a planning mechanism. The water sources in the city ought to have been planned. We should have had a local water security policy. Instead, what did we do? We took World Bank funds and built a pipeline to Mysore to bring water from Kaveri 100 kilometers away. And we dried up our 2,000 lakes. We had 2,000 lakes that stored water locally. We get almost 25 TMC of water from rainfall. We are very abundant in rainfall. You know what happens to that rainfall now? It just flows away to Tamil Nadu. Why? Because we've destroyed all our lakes. This is the kind of myopia we've had in policy making because politicians in Karnataka for the last 50, 60 years have only been filling their pockets. They don't want to follow the law. They don't want to follow scientific approach to development. They don't want to have policy planning, and they don't want to devolve. We don't have a city government, mind you. Right now, the state government runs the city through about 20 paritals and a powerless BBMP. We have not even had elections for the last 5 years to BBMP council.
Absolutely.
So we have zero democracy.
BBMP elections haven't happened. So basically, there's nobody taking care of the municipality.
Exactly. So this city suffers from a lack of planning, a lack of governance, and it arises out of the politician selfishness. Today, we don't call the city an IT capital. We call it the IT slum. We call it PG slum. We call it Silicon Sewer because there's sewage all over the street.
Absolutely.
It's pathetic. This is, I think, Dharavi is much cleaner than Bengaluru today. I'm sorry to say, we have ruined our
Sandeep,
city.
the fact that someone like you, I've seen how passionate you are about Bengaluru in your causes. The fact that today you're sitting here calling Bengaluru Silicon Sewer, feeling bad about it, I can totally understand. It's tragic that it's come to that. Now, Yuvraj, before we wrap, the problem here is that you were talking about elections, you were talking about jumlas. Now, the fact is, even in a city like Bengaluru, roads are not proper. Almost half of the roads are damaged. Half of the footpaths, Joseph said, most of the footpaths don't even exist. The problem is, these same people in power now are spending over 10,000 crore rupees to build a sky deck, to build a tunnel road. Who in their right minds would do that? Why not invest that amount for fixing existing roads? The problem is, They sell this jumlas and the people fall for it.
Ashish, as I said, the buck stops at politics. And in Bangalore, we all must agree that there is no feedback mechanism, there is no local government. It's all in the hands of the politicians. And the entire polity is based on caste, corruption, and favors. So when I wish to come to power, I will throw a bucket of jumlas. My voters will fall for that, and I will oblige them for the coming 5 years. As I said, as I maintain, as I hardly always maintain, the politics in Karnataka and especially Bangalore is centered around the big infrastructure towers. हमने ये बनाया, हमने ये किया, but it is not at all people centric. Nobody is gonna ask me कि मैं नौकरी कर रहा हूँ, मेरा फ्लैट है, तो मेरा रेंट और इलेक्ट्रिसिटी क्या होना चाहिए? But these same politicians will cover down to the big MNCs, my bosses. So boss को पूछेंगे, हमको कोई नहीं पूछेगा. We need a people-centric approach in governance, in administration.
Absolutely, Yuvraj, you're making a very valid point here that people really need to stop falling for these. In fact, I also have a very funny anecdote. A friend of mine who had bought a flat worth over 1 crore, he had to take a bath in the office gym to avoid using the water that was in his flat because there was a shortage of running water. That is the state of affairs in a city like Bengaluru. Anirudh, I know you want to make a point, but we quickly will go across to one of our callers here, Captain Gupta, calling in from Chennai.
Hello.
Yes, Captain Gupta, go ahead.
Can you hear me? Yeah. Actually,
I can hear you, Captain Gupta. Go ahead.
So, what I say that the voting rights should be given to the migrant people who doesn't have even the permanent address, so that their complaint can be heard of.
Absolutely. Very valid point there, Captain Gupta. And this, of course, is something that a lot of people today also feel about the fact that those that are actually voting and paying taxes, they are not getting anything in return. And those that aren't involved in the entire process are actually getting the benefits of it. And at the end of the day, when it's monsoon, when it's summer, everyone suffers together. And really, this is an issue that we need to talk about in detail as well. Yuvraj, Pokarna, Sandeep, Anirudhan and Joseph, who really appreciate you joining us. I know there's a lot of points that we want to make, but we're running short of time right now. But really appreciate you for joining us on this edition of Mirror Prime. And viewers, on that note, it's a wrap. Lots more lined up on the other side. Stay tuned.